Hi, my name's Jim Ditzenberger, and I am Jim's sister-in-law. And I'm really sorry that I couldn't be with you to share in the memories of Jim's life, but I would like to salute Jim and thank him for being a wonderful brother-in-law, a friend, and a patient presence in my life for the last 45 years. So please bear with me as I share just a few thoughts. I'm really embarrassed to admit that the first time that I met Jim was at a stoplight outside of Calvary Temple. It's a church in Denver that was attended by his family and mine, and we had just pulled out of the parking lot after service, and my car waited behind his car for the light to turn green. And when the light did turn green, Jim's car, with 3 bouncing boys in the back and of course Joanne in the front next to him, just sat there. And it sat and sat and sat. So I inadvertently, so maybe it wasn't quite so inadvertent, but I honked and instantly was horrified to realize that it was the brother of the guy that I was dating. It was Jim at the wheel. And without hesitation, he raised his hand in a sign of thanks and apology and pressed forward. I slunk down in the seat, hoping that he wouldn't realize who I was, who had honked. But it quickly occurred to me that the guy behind the wheel was really unusually kind. And that realization played out over and over again. For the next 45 years, Jim was kind, considerate, and patient, always. He never sought the limelight, and in many, many pictures of picnics, birthdays, weddings, anniversary celebrations, and dinners at his mom and dad's house, he was constantly in what I would call a supporting role. He quietly stood or kneeled for a photo at the side of the noisy, bouncing group. He always managed to get as close to Joanne as possible, and he beamed admiringly at their 3 boys. Jim was Jim's steady, unwavering commitment and love for his family was deeply rooted in his past. It was born out of years and years of strong, unwavering, stable love that he found in his mom and dad's home. Granny and Grandpa, as they were lovingly called by the family, his mom and dad, gave him a rock-solid foundation upon which he built his life. They instilled it in the sense that when he entered their house, all would be right with the world, that dinner was delicious, warm, and ready at 5, kindness and encouragement were on the menu, and he loved them. He loved the wholeness, the warmth, and the compassion, and the peace that he found at home, and I believe he brought that into his own home and into ours. I found it curious that whenever he came to visit our house in Seattle, he would inevitably search way in the back of the cupboard for one particular little cup, the one cup that was remaining from Granny's old cup collection. But now that I think back on it, it wasn't the cup that he was searching for. It was the warmth and recollection and memory of a sweet time of calmness, assurance, and acceptance. The next part of this tribute, I'm going to have to call it the sprawl, because if any of you have seen Jim's office in his basement, it's not a secret that he was a file by pile guy. The first thing he did when he arrived at our house in Seattle was deposit his mobile office right on the kitchen counter. The computer was on the left, the mouse with the accompanying designer mouse pad was on the right. Out it came, the printer, the files, the paperwork, and more paperwork. It grew. And by lunchtime, his office had taken over most of the kitchen. He loved his work. He loved his company. He loved his customers, and he loved his files. And when his 3 days at our house were up, it all found its way neatly back into his briefcase and into his car, and off he would go. But one more thing, he never failed to tell us that he would not stay more than 3 days because, and I quote, "Fish, like guests, tend to stink after 3 days. And need I suggest that we heard this reference to fish and guests more than once. The next part and the final part of my tribute is called The New Lady. And as many of you know, Jim and the boys lost their precious Joanne several years ago. And the Sunday before Joanne died, I called her from the park and ride near my house to get instructions. I just said, okay, tell me what you want me to do, was what I said to her. And she said, just check in on Jim. Just stay in touch with him, talk to him, find out if he's okay, please. And those are the instructions that she gave me. And I believe with all my heart that when she got to heaven, that was exactly what she told the Lord she wanted him to do. So, in God's perfect timing, along came Roxanne. She was Jim's rock and his kind, supportive, loving companion. She made sure he was okay. She boldly and lovingly stepped into his life and the rest of the family's lives when she did. And we love her for that, and we love you, Jim and Roxanne. So Jim, I hope in heaven they have a really big, red, loud semi and a long, open, heavenly road where you can cruise from mountain to mountain, galaxy to galaxy, and breathe in the beauty and peace of the open road, because that's, I know, what you loved. It's a place you loved to return to, and it's a place that I know you'd like to be. I can't wait to see you again. But until then, I'm going to keep that cup in the back of the cupboard, and remember not to honk at the guy in front of me. I love you.